My name is Eva Kola. I'm from Gulf Province. I did all my primary school in Kerema. I am fourth in a family of 7. I have a law background, graduated from the university in 1986. Was admitted to practice law in 1989. I started practicing as a lawyer then and started my job with the National Capital District Commission as a legal officer. And I've worked with National Capital District Commission for about 15 years since then. So after being a legal officer, I got promoted to becoming the principal legal officer, then moved on to a number of management positions within the organization. The various positions I held with the National Capital District Commission were Deputy City Manager Corporate Services, Deputy City Manager Community Services, Deputy City Manager Regulatory Services, and I left the NCDC after staying there for a year as the acting city manager. Since I left the NCDC after that, I've worked with the Law and Justice Sector Program as manager policy coordination, then became the acting manager for the Law and Justice Sector Secretariat. After leaving the Law and Justice Sector program, I moved on to work as an advisor with the Provincial and Local Government Program and was attached with the Department of Provincial Affairs as an advisor. I'm now working with the All Search Foundation. Have been just engaged, been on the job for a month now, basically to oversee one of the programs that they are running, and I'll be there for 5 months as the project manager. I actually started I think my career as a lawyer started on a bad note when I started work with the private sector, with the private law firm, and I got sacked because I was pregnant. After having my baby, I joined the NCDC, and so since that time, that lesson has taught me to be tough and to be the professional that I should be. And I think that's what has earned me places in management because of my commitment and to be the professional that I have to be for the organization I worked for. I also appreciated the NCDC for giving me the opportunity when I thought everything else was falling apart as a woman. I was having babies, I wasn't good enough, but NCDC was able to give me the opportunity to display what I can offer. So as a career person, it's quite challenging, particularly in a profession like the lawyer. You are working among men, and I felt that sometimes because I was a woman, people did not want to listen to my advice as a female lawyer. But as the years went by, I found that more and more the organization was tending to trust my advice because I did a lot of work, I did a lot of research, and I was able to stand up and provide that professional advice. I worked very hard. I had young children as well, and so I was a courtroom lawyer as well as a boardroom lawyer. So I worked twice as hard to make sure that I had my files ready for my cases I was attending to in the morning, but at the same time provide the legal advice to the organization. I found NCDC a very challenging place because it had a lot of responsibility as a municipal authority. It was charged with a lot of regulatory responsibilities, and so my job had to be, I had to be on top of my job to advise in various disciplines. So it wasn't just one area. I had to provide advice on public health, on environment management, on tax law, so the range was quite wide. So that sort of helped me to be on top of my job and do what I should do. And so, yeah, and it showed that I could do that in various ways. But that earned me the respect to be given the management responsibility to eventually head some of these operational departments, and so with the knowledge in law in terms of what the jobs entail, I also displayed that I was somebody who can work with other people. I was a team player, but I also was a leader amongst the team in that I could lead discussions, I could lead the teams out, so it's hard work really. So my advice is that the responsibility comes with the challenges of being on top of the subject, knowing your job, being able to lead the team. You may have some naughty people within the team, and your ability to manage that is quite essential as well. So having the skill set to be able to do that is quite is really necessary. So yeah, basically it's not easy. Also, like in an organization like the NCDC, and I think in many of the public service at about that time, we had a lot of challenges that come from the political directions. And so as a manager, you have to learn to manage, accommodate, but at the same time knowing that the organization has a responsibility to the people at large. And managing your political directions and your management directions is an art in itself. I don't see that as political interference. I see that as instructions coming from our leaders. They have their responsibilities to their people, and as public servants, we must learn to provide advice that can help our leaders to perform in their roles as well. I think the uniqueness is being women. We know that at the end of the day, we have to put food on the table, and as women, we care. We care for our young, we care for our old, and that's what the woman brings on the table, is that particularly in government, when you are providing advice and creating, entrusted with the responsibility to develop policies, it's that the instinct as a woman that, we think of survival, we think of the people who are disadvantaged, because that's by nature, that's what we do. We are the ones who look after the disadvantaged in the homes, in the villages. And so I think that's the distinct instinct of a woman where you bring to the table. So when you are entrusted with a leadership role, and particularly when you are there to influence policy or decision making, it's that ability to think widely, holistically, and thinking of everybody, not just the able. And so I think that's one aspect of a woman in leadership, is that woman instinct. I think the other thing is that I see, my analysis is that women do more than one thing at the same time. So that's the advantage you have. You're not only thinking of one thing only, you are thinking of a number of things all at the same time. And you are able to prioritize within that whole array of things you have to do. And so you are able to provide that, you prioritize according to the demands and the needs. And I think a woman does that better. I think a woman is also a hard worker. Again, like I said, we do 100 things at the same time. And so in the office, we are not limited to saying, oh, I'll just perform this task and that's it, I recall I could do so many things and so many other people's jobs as well, because that needs to be done. And so when you look at it from an organizational perspective, you are prioritizing according to the needs of the organization. And so you are willing to offer your services because you know that the organizational reputation is at risk. So I think those are the aspects of women that differ from men. I think for a man, and I may be wrong, is that you train yourself to think like that, to think about people, to think about, whereas for women it's inbuilt. In terms of qualifications and academic excellence, I think for both men and women, we both can sit at the same table and sit the same test, and we can both do well. Yeah, I think the first and foremost is that you're a professional, and that your gender as a woman should not be seen as the barrier, and that when you are in the working environment, you're a professional person and you're not just a woman. So once you can see yourself from that perspective, you can really excel. Secondly, I think it's being honest. And I would give that, there is nothing that will ever get in your way if you're honest and sincere. And that's professionally and in management, when you are honest and sincere and you apply the rules without fear or favor. And I found honesty has been the shield to protect me from the many challenges that I've had. Whenever they are looking for reasons to sack you, they won't find one. And you may be just sacked because they just don't like you. But I think at the end of the day, your integrity as a person is still intact. And like I said, your honesty will take you places. For me, was balancing that between my work and my family. And I always tell people, there were two things I said to myself in life after I got the sack from the law firm, was that I have to make my family work, and I have to make sure that I don't lose a job again.